Okay, so welcome everybody to our meeting. So welcome to Wendy, who is in the chamber, and people watching online. So I'll start with the affirmation. We'll just stand for the affirmation. I'm going to get Councillor Jenny Greenberger to read the affirmation.
We recognise the traditional owners of the land. We are inspired by the early pioneers and by those who gave their lives for our country. We now ask God's blessing on our deliberations and on our commitment to build a better lifestyle and environment.
Thank you. This council meeting is being recorded and live streamed to Council's YouTube channel. The recording will also be made available on Council's website. Whilst all care has been taken to ensure that your privacy is maintained, please be aware that your presence may be recorded. So item 1, apologies. Are there any apologies for today? No. So item 2, confirmation of minutes. So we just need... Yep.
Mayor, I'd like to move that the minutes of the last council meeting be amended with the following 2 points. That regards to Councillor Jenny Greenberger's report, that the name Grant Pryor be amended to Randall Pryor, and also number 2, in the report given by Mayor Karen Hislop, that the Category B funding, which relates to the bushfire recovery, be changed to Category D funding. So with those 2 amendments, Mayor, I'd like to move that the minutes of the last council meeting to be held on Monday, that was held on Monday 3rd of March, be accepted.
Thank you, Councillor Greenberger. Would anyone like to second that?
I will second that.
Thank you, Councillor Hyde. Just a show of hands, are we all in favour of that? Okay, that's carried. So any matters arising from the minutes? There's no presentations for awards. So we go to item 5.1 with presentation of petitions and joint letters. So soundstage in Cato Park. So we have a recommendation there. If anyone would like to move that recommendation.
I'd like to move to receive the petition. This would allow the petitioner's request to be investigated and reported to at a subsequent council meeting.
Okay, so do we have someone to second that recommendation?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Councillor Blake. So, Councillor Hyde, would you like to speak to the motion?
Just that, as per the governance rules, which specify that unless the council determines to consider it as an item of urgent business, no motion may be then made on any permission. So, joint letter until the next fixed council meeting after that in which it has been presented.
Thank you, Councillor Hyde. Councillor Blake, would you like to speak on the council motion? So any other councillor like to speak for or against the motion? No? So Councillor Hyde, would you like to sum up?
Just that we will, that the petition seeking for permanent soundstage at Cato Park stall be received, and that we will, then we'll allow for the petitioner's request to be investigated and reported by subsequent council meeting. Okay,
so can I have a show of hands for those in favour of the motion? Okay, that's carried. So, do we have any disclosures of conflict of interest that anyone wishes to declare? No. So item 7 informal meetings of councillors, and there's quite a lot of meetings there. And yeah, we just have a recommendation that the report on formal council meetings councillors be approved. Does someone like to move that?
Yes, Madam Mayor, happy to move that council notes the previous councillor meetings.
Thank you, Councillor Emerson. Does somebody like to second that recommendation?
I'm happy to second that.
Thank you, Councillor Probst. Okay, so just a show of hands, all in favour of that motion? Okay, so that is carried. Okay, so 9.4, improve organisational effectiveness. So 9.4.1, rate differential policy. And we have a recommendation in regards to that. Does anyone like to move that recommendation?
I'd like to move that the updated rate differential policy be adopted.
Thank you, Councillor Probst. Somebody to second?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to second that recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Greenberger. Councillor Probst, would you like to speak to the motion?
Okay. The floating rate differential is how we break the total rates up between the different types of the different categories of properties that pay it. So it's based on a 20-year history, which over that time farms have paid about 30% of the rate, residences about 60% and commercial industrial about 10%. So the way we work the rates is that each year, each of those categories still pays the same proportion of the overall rate that's capped by government, which can't go up by much anyway. So the reason for it, it just reduces fluctuations for rates of each of those different categories. So if farm prices go up one year or residences go up another year, it just keeps the rates more stable so you don't get big fluctuations. So.
Thank you. Councillor Greenberger, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, thank you, Councillor Probst. I think that explains things quite well. As people would realise that our rates are capped, so having a differential rate doesn't increase rates to council overall, it simply balances the way that they're allocated to different sectors of the rateable community across the Shire. Thank you.
Okay, so is there any councillor like to speak for or against the motion?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll be supporting the motion, but I just wanted to make a point that the floating differential rate was brought in some years ago because of the huge increases in the farming rates under the differential system. I think they've evened off a bit now, so year by year going forward in the next 4 years of this council term, I think we should be certainly having a look at our rating system year by year, but I support the motion today.
Thank you, Councillor Emerson. Would anyone else like to speak for or against the motion? So, Councillor Probst, would you like to sum up?
Just in summary, I think the floating differential helps even out our rates for individual property owners, so it saves a little bit of that rate shock when we get our rate notices each year.
Okay, just a show of hands, those in favour of the motion? Okay, that's carried. So 9.4.2, Budget Development and Management Policy. So we have a recommendation there. Someone like to move the recommendation?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I would like to move that Council approves the Budget Development and Management Policy.
Thank you, Councillor Greenberger. Would someone like to second? Yeah, so the recommendation is that Council approves the budget development and management policy for another 4 years. So would you like to just read out that recommendation?
Yep. So, yes, Mayor, I move that the Council approves the budget development and management policy for the next 4 years.
Okay, if someone would like to second that motion.
Happy to second.
Thank you, Councillor Emerson. So Councillor Greenberger, would you like to speak to the motion?
The development of the annual budget is part of an integrated process that ensures appropriate resource allocations are made to service council's long-term activities and initiatives. The policy sets out principles to guide decision-making and will ensure that it is clear who is responsible for the preparation and consideration of the annual budget, and how performance against the adopted budget will be reported, which is very important for us as councillors to ensure that operations are occurring within budget. This policy document is supported by a number of operational and organisational documents which are designed to assist with the implementation of the policy. The policy has been tabled at a council meeting for approval due to the beginning of a new council term. So it's not something we need to do, change the policy every year, but as there is a new council term beginning for the next 4 years, we review the policy. Thank you, Mayor.
Councillor Emerson, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councillor Greenberger has spoken to the motion very well, and I have nothing further to add.
Thank you. So any other councillor like to speak for or against the motion? Okay, Councillor Greenberger, would you like to sum up?
Nothing further to add, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. So just a call for show of hands, those in favour of the motion. Okay, that's carried. So 9.4.3 Financial Reserves Policy. I also have a recommendation there. Someone like to move the recommendation? Yep.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move that the Council adopts the Financial Reserves Policy.
Thank you, Councillor Greenberger. Have somebody second that motion?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Councillor Blake. Councillor Greenberger, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you. Financial reserves are created when surplus operating cash is put to one side to be allocated to future expenditures, and we're certainly hopeful in our budget deliberations that that surplus cash will be generated. Reserves are not mandated, but if they exist, the cash held in the reserves is required to be available for the specified use. To provide a responsible and viable long-term financial plan, it's recommended to remove the development reserve from the financial reserves policy, and the policy has been updated to remove the development reserve. This is a reserve that was put in place when there was plans to work on a number of development possibilities in the future, but given the financial situation of the council now, we have deliberated and decided to make that fund available for ongoing work that we're conducting in this financial year and the next number of financial years. I can assure everyone that those reserves will not be used without a lot of deliberation to the ongoing benefit of the whole of the local government area.
Thank you, Councillor Greenberger. Councillor Blake, would you like to speak?
Yes, I think it's very important that exactly what Councillor Greenberger just said, that it's better off if we don't use it in reserve, that we use it wisely anyway. Thank you.
So would any councillor like to speak for or against the motion? I would just like to add that that with the development reserve, a lot of the projects have now been completed, which enables that money to be freed up. So, Councillor Greenberger, would you like to sum up?
Yes, confirming that comment, Mayor, that, I mean, it's been a great credit to the councils over the last number of terms that we've seen such a fantastic update to a lot of community facilities. And I'm sure that a lot of that money was grant funding, but often the grants are dollar for dollar or dollar for a number of dollars. So it really is important to have that money available to attract that funding, and all credit for them in the sense that we've seen such a lot of fantastic work done over the community over the last few terms. Unfortunately now the environment has changed, and that those reserves are really now required for us to be able to conduct council business. I'm sure there will be budget considerations as to what work can be done in this next 4-year term. However, we need reserves to be able to use those funds now. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. So just a show of hands, those in favour of the motion? Okay, so that's carried. So 9.4.4, Cynano District Riding Club lease. We have a recommendation there.
I'd like to move that council gives consent to transfer the Section 17D Crown Land lease of 29 Bush Park Road, Cynanad, from the Cynanad Horse and Pony Club Inc. to Cynanad District Riding Club Inc. and authorises the Chief Executive Officer to sign the relevant transfer documents as agreed by all parties.
Happy to second my colleague from the Karakara Ward.
Thank you, Councillor Emerson. So, Councillor Post, would you like to speak to the motion?
The reason for this motion is just that the lease currently has been in the name of the Cynanad Pony Club, but they've had declining numbers, so they've recently amalgamated with the riding club in Stewart Mill. So it's just a matter of transferring the existing lease from the old club that's now merged with the Stewart Mill Club to form the one body.
Councillor Emerson, would you like to speak to the motion?
Nothing further, Madam Mayor.
Okay, so would any councillors like to speak for or against the motion? Councillor Prost, would you like to sum up? Nothing further to add. Okay, show of hands, those in favour of the motion? That's carried. So 9.4.5, delegations and authorisations update. So we have quite a lengthy recommendation there. If anyone would like to move that recommendation.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Probably this is the longest recommendation I've ever seen in my 12 years in council. So buckle your seatbelts. The recommendation, and I move the motion that A, S5 instrument of delegation from the council to the CEO in the exercises of the powers conferred by section 11(1)(b) of the Local Government Act 2020, council resolves that 1, there be delegated to the person holding the position of acting or in performing the duties of the Chief Executive Officer the powers, duties and functions set out in the attached instrument of delegation to the Chief Executive Officer, subject to the conditions and limitations specified in that instrument. 2, the instrument comes into force immediately upon this resolution being made and is to be signed by the Council's Chief Executive Officer and Mayor. 3, on the coming into force of the instrument, all previous delegations to the Chief Executive Officer are revoked. 4, the duties and functions set out in the instrument must be performed and the powers set out in the instrument must be executed in accordance with any guidelines or policies of Council that it may from time to time adopt. B, S6, instrument of delegation from Council to members of Council staff in the exercise of the powers conferred by the legislation referred to in the attached instrument of delegation, Council resolves that 1, there is delegated to members of the Council staff holding, acting or in performing the duties of the offices or positions referred to in the attached instrument of delegation, to members of Council staff, the powers, duties and functions set out in that instrument, subject to the conditions and limitations specified in that instrument. 2, the instrument comes into force immediately the instrument is signed, other than the Chief Executive Officer. I've lost my thing. On the coming into force of the instrument, all previous delegations to members of Council staff are revoked. 4, the duties and functions set out in the instrument must be performed and the powers set out in the instrument must be executed in accordance with any guidelines or policies of Council that it may from time to time adopt. C, S18, Instrument of Sub-Delegation under the Environmental Protection Act 2017, in the exercise of the powers conferred by Section 437(2) of the Environmental Protection Act 2017 and the Instrument of Delegation of the Environment Protection Authority under the Act dated the 4th of June 2021, Council resolves that 1, there be delegated to members of Council staff holding, acting or in performing the duties of the offices or positions referred to in the attached instrument of sub-delegation to members of Council staff, the powers, duties and functions set out in that instrument subject to the conditions and limitations specified in that instrument. 2, the instrument comes into force immediately the instrument is signed. 3, the duties and functions set out in the instrument must be performed and the powers set out in the instrument must be executed in accordance with any guidelines or policies of Council that it may from time to time adopt. There is more. D, S11A, Instrument of Appointment and Authorisation under the Planning and Environmental Act 1987, that in the exercise of the powers confirmed by Section 147(4) of the Planning and Environment Act 1987, Council resolves that 1, the members of Council staff referred to in the attached instrument be appointed and authorised as set out in the instruments. 2, the instruments comes into force immediately. 3, the instruments remain in force until Council determines to vary or revoke them or the officer's employment within the Northern Grampians Shire ceases. Thank you.
Well done. So would someone like to second that motion?
I'm happy to second the motion. Thank you, Councillor Hessler.
Thank you, Councillor Greenberger. So, Councillor Emerson, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yeah, thank you. Well, I'll make it as short as I can. It's an administrative decision where from time to time we make decisions to hand some authority to our council representatives to the CEO and other members of our council staff. Just a couple of quick mentions. One is in regard to our insurance, which has gone up this year. And there are a number of other reasons that we've had to change the delegations policy, but pretty well administrative. Thank you, Mary, for writing up all of the requirements of that. I recommend the motion, Council.
Councillor Greenberg? Yep.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to add thank you, Councillor Emerson. It's very important for the operations of the Council that these instruments of delegation are in place. There is no decision allowed to be made other than at a formal Council meeting, which of course only occurs monthly. So in order for the business of Council to be conducted in between, it is important that these delegations are in place. And of course the instruments referred to put very clear parameters around what is and isn't acceptable within those delegations. So we can be assured that they are very much in order, very much required by legislation. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Is there any other councillor wish to speak for or against the motion? Councillor Emerson, would you like to sum up?
Nothing further, Madam Mayor, thank you.
Okay, just show of hands, those in favour of the motion. Okay, so that's carried. Our notice is a motion or rescission, so there's none of those. reports from councillors and committees. So there's 4 attachments to that agenda items, and some of the committee reports. So I'll get the councillors to give us their monthly report. So I might start with Councillor Greenberger.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Once again, it has been a very, very busy month, of course, for Council, but there's also been some fantastic activities that have occurred. I'm actually going to start in reverse order today because I'm most excited about the event that I attended on Saturday, which was the Stawell Multicultural Festival, which was just an absolute joy to be present and to behold. I think back over the Northern Grampians Shire in the last 10 years, and it's hard to imagine that we could have such a wonderful, broad, multicultural community now living in this LGA, and the celebration through food and music and dancing was absolutely a joy to behold, and very much appreciated that by all those attended. I mean, it was hard to estimate how many people were there, but it would probably at least be 300 or 400 people, which is absolutely wonderful. As well as that, we've had 2 celebrations of International Women's Day early in March, one in St Arnaud and one in Stawell, and I just believe that it's incredibly important that we keep the issue of gender equity on the table, and we can highlight these issues through a day of celebration such as these. I attended an online meeting which I found extremely helpful in understanding the way that local governments are funded by the federal government. I have argued for a long, long time that there really needs to be some clear thinking around how small rural and regional councils are funded compared to large metropolitan councils with huge rate bases. But in actual fact, I was mistaken about my worry about that framework, about it needing to be looked at, because in actual fact there exists a framework where there are very clear ratings that are given for the way rural and regional councils are funded compared to metropolitan councils. And in actual fact, Northern Grampians Shire receives a much higher proportion of those funds than many, many other councils because of the distances involved, the roads and bridges that we service. There are many, many issues that enable us to receive a higher proportion of that rate base. The issue is that over a long period of time, the federal government have been reducing the share of total tax revenue that is provided back to local communities, the proportion of the whole of the tax rate. Initially, when it was introduced many, many years ago in the Whitlam years, the goal was for it to be increased up to 2%, and at one stage in history, it did get slightly above 2%. Then, over a 3 or 4 year period, it was frozen. It's now on the increase again, but only very slowly and certainly never making up that ground. And so the total percentage of total tax revenue that LGAs get is well less than 2% of total revenue. And that is, in a sense, is the disturbing situation that we find ourselves in. There's not enough taxpayer money coming back to local communities. So that was a very good learning exercise for me. We've been involved in council plan workshops, health and wellbeing workshops with the community, which has been brilliant, getting out there, hearing from our community about what they would like to achieve. Had a wonderful visit with the Stawell Historical Society. I'm a history buff. I used to teach history at school, and to see the operations there are absolutely inspiring, and I think we need to make a lot better use of that facility in terms of our tourism potential in the future. The other big one for me this month was that I attended the Wimmera Homeless Alliance network meeting, which was actually held here in Stawell. Learnt a lot about the issue of homelessness across the whole region. There are some actions that I'm going to propose for my councillor report in the Stawell Times News. I think my report is due this Friday, and I've actually written about that alliance meeting, mainly because it has come up as a topic of great interest to the local community. I joined a group that went to Dimboola recently to look at the revitalisation that has occurred in Dimboola in the main street, with a view to looking at our main street here in Stawell and, you know, trying to come up with a plan that might help that situation moving forward. And I also attended the Insurance Council of Australia meeting in Halls Gap. And I also learned a lot about insurance, but I won't go into that now. I think I've had my time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Greenberger. Councillor Hine.
Thank you, Mayor. To follow up from Councillor Greenberger, there has been a lot of council plan work that has continued on in the background. I also attended the visit to Dimboola, which was very inspiring. And I will second Councillor Greenberger's comments in regards to the Stawell Historical Society. I urge you during the school holidays, take your children down there or yourselves Wednesday to Thursday between 10 and 4 and have a look. We've got some amazing history here, and I feel like the school holidays is a perfect opportunity to utilise that location. But one area that I did want to point out more than everything else that has gone on, it's been a busy month, is that I attended a couple of weeks ago the Victorian Convention of Councils via the MAV, and I have their strategic document right here, which I've read and I've really enjoyed, actually. But the convention was an inaugural event that was held in the Mornington Peninsula. It was approximately 120 councillors, deputy mayors, and some CEOs gathered over the 2.5 days. The weekend was not only a great networking opportunity, speaking to such a diversity of different councillors, but also an opportunity to hear from some really inspiring speakers. I won't name them all, but one of them was Nick McKenzie, the award-winning investigative journalist. And there were other past and present councillors who also spoke, including the former Deputy Mayor or Lord Deputy Mayor of the City of Sydney, Jess Scully, who was very informative and extremely interesting, and I've actually already downloaded and listened to her book. I'd like to say I've read it, but I haven't. I've listened to it, and it's quite enjoyable, and it reflects on the local governments here and around the world. Also, Minister Nick Stakos, who also attended and spoke at the conference, he did visit us in Halls Gap on January the 2nd, if my memory is right, in between the bushfire situation. And so after he finished presenting at the conference, I did manage to nab him off the side of the stage and have another discussion in regards to that recovery support funding that has been announced, and express some feedback from our business communities in regards to that. I had a great opportunity to take over that weekend and understand the critical issues facing our council today, and additionally I'd like to mention that I attended this convention at no cost to the Shire, as I was successful in being awarded a scholarship which covered the full costs, and to which was explained to me down there that it was actually a very competitive process, so I feel very grateful that I was awarded that opportunity and able to come back here and share with my fellow councillors and Northern Grampians Shire staff. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hine. Councillor Blake.
Well, to start off with, Trenton and I visited the Western Highway Action Committee, and as I stamped my authority, letting them know that some of them probably haven't walked across the Western Highway, let alone driven on it, I think I left my impression pretty well there. And the multicultural day up there at the town hall, it was a fantastic day, and I can't believe that the community come together. It was actually really, really good, and actually getting a lot of calls lately from concerned people about the cemetery, and we are working on what to do about that. But it's mainly about working with the community, and I think we're actually, as a council, we're doing it really well. So that's about it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Blake. Councillor Probst.
I guess over the month there's some things we do that involve our long-term planning, so a big part of that has been a council planning. Sorry, I love technology, not. Okay, so over the month, a lot of what we do is there's long-term planning and there's like day-to-day things. So this last month, the council plan's been a big part, encouraging people to fill in the surveys, to attend the workshops. And so that's given us a lot of information that is getting collated, which we will hopefully communicate in a really clear way to our communities as we go along. A lot of short-term things that we do, like the SCAN meetings in St Arnaud, we've been focusing a lot on how we can help the youth, particularly the disengaged youth, which is a really huge issue and there's no easy answers on that. The medical situation in St Arnaud, we've got doctors close to retirement, so we've met with the hospital, the doctors and the hospital CEO and board member, and it looks like we've been approved to join a scheme where you can train overseas doctors remotely, so the doctors don't have to give the direct oversight. So that hopefully means that it will open up the field of doctors that we might be able to attract to town. And then there's just small issues about the BMX track, our museum, stop signs. A few people have mentioned to me stop signs are a little bit overgrown, so we're looking at moving those. Brent has a catch-up with each of the councillors each month, so this last month I thought I'd take Brent for a walk down the main street and introduce him to business owners in the main street of St Arnaud. Now, don't feel left out if we didn't get to you. We had an hour to do this. We got through half of one side of a block in 2 hours, so the other businesses will be in the next months coming up. I've also had a couple of come and chat with a councillor, have coffee with me. I might have to move that to meals actually. Anyway, so just, if there's issues, come and chat to me when I have one of those. One of the big issues, particularly in the Karakara ward, is the VNI transmission lines. So we've been to one of the farmers organised a meeting at one of the local farms, and it was the Nationals were coming to so that the farmers could talk to them about the concerns about the transmission lines. And it was actually driving into the farm was actually quite overwhelming because there were over 100 cars just in the part I parked in, and it shows what a concern this issue is for the members of our community who are directly affected. It's their homes, it's their livelihood, it's their generational farming, it's everything. And just the lack of control they feel over it, I think, is a really big issue. And to see the number of people that were there and the angst in the community, it really brings it home. This is a really important thing that we need to work out some way of addressing. But then, having said that, we're in a similar position to the farmers because we don't get told anything and there's not a lot of input we have too. So, it's a really hard issue that we want to see more consultation on. It's really hard to know how to make that happen. On a lighter note, I went to the Deb Ball a couple of weeks ago, so it was lovely to see the Year 11 students all scrubbed up and not been able to recognise any of them because they're not wearing their sports gear, which you usually see them in. And just the work they put into preparing for it and watching the dancing was really quite good fun. I was just disappointed I didn't get to dance with any of them later. That's probably most of the things for now, I think.
Thank you, Councillor Probst. Councillor Emerson.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you to Karen. She stole my thunder just about every meeting she's at in Sonata on there as well. Just a couple that we missed out on were the Walkers Lake Advisory Group. We had a meeting with them. We expected a little bit of friction to be going on because of the cancellation of the book festival over at Donald. There was 1,000 people turned up unannounced to Little Walkers Lake to camp for the evening, but everything went pretty well. Everybody was pretty happy. Not a lot of damage, a little bit of wear and tear here and there, but pretty well, all very good. Also, Karen forgot the Stawell Recreation Advisory Group that we went to, where the Footy Club, Netball Club, Hockey Club and others, Agricultural Society, were talking about different things in the previous year and the coming year, which was good discussion, and hopefully Council can help with some of those things along the way. Of course, a lot of my time recently has been involved with the preparation for the Stawell gift. Just a note to everybody in the northern Grampians Shire, grab a ticket. This year we've got the 5 fastest runners in Australia coming. We've got the 8 best distance runners coming. It'll be a year that you'll be sorry if you don't go down and have a look at them. So been busy as usual, and the next months into years of this council term will be exactly the same. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Emerson. Look, I'd just like to thank councillors. This month has been incredibly busy, and we've all been out and about, lots of different functions. Look, I hopefully won't double up on what other councillors said, and I won't double up with what's been put in our Merrill columns and our councillor columns at the Stawell Times News. It's great that we had that column back. It's been really exciting writing the Merrill columns, and I've had a lot of feedback from the community, so well done to the Stawell Times News for initiating that and including us in their journey, the new look to the Stawell Times News. But yeah, I'm enjoying reading the Stawell Times News and the articles that are in there. So this morning was a bit of an early start for a few of our councillors. Councillor Councillor Hyde and Councillor Blake and I met with Isaac, a gentleman from Melbourne who is running the distance from Stawell to Melbourne for the Good Friday appeal. And look, he was just incredible. It was just so nice to meet him, somebody doing something like that for definitely a good cause. And so I did walk a lap with him and had a chat on the way round. But yeah, just like, there's some incredible people out there in our community. When you meet people like that do things like that, I just think we need more people like Isaac. And I hope that his rest of his journey goes well, and he's able to raise a lot of money. He's very proud of what he was doing. It was so nice to be part of his Good Friday appeal, and starting, wanted to really promote Stawell Gift and be here and sort of start his journey of Stawell to Melbourne. So that was our early morning start. I have also been to a lot of council plan workshops and municipal public health and wellbeing plan workshop. And one thing that did stand out with the Municipal Public Health and Wellbeing Workshop is this partnership. Council can't do it all. We will highlight areas that we may be able to do things a little bit differently or a little bit maybe better than other organisations, and there will definitely be the organisations will be able to highlight where they do things a little bit better and a little bit more in that space. But it's such an important plan to have. Lots of ideas. We had just notes and billboards filled up with ideas, and it was very inspirational networking. People were really enthused and really got behind it, and yeah, very important. But it was good to see so many people turn up and support that particular workshop. Also went to Dimboola for the day, and what a fantastic day it was. I really enjoyed it, and I came home really inspired after that trip. In the last month, we've been able to catch up with a lot of ministers. So a day trip to Melbourne, myself, CEO Vaughan Williams and Justine Kingham. went and met with a couple of ministers. And it's so good to be able to meet with ministers to talk the talk, and we can talk about questions or problems that we may have in the Shire and get direct answers. And if we don't get the direct answers, they'll give us follow-up ideas, or they'll follow up information for us. And it was quite an invaluable, like a really good day, and we all came out thinking that was just well worth our trip to Melbourne, even though it was a long day. But it's so important to have those relationships with our MPs. We also had Emma Keeley and Anne Webster, who both come up to Halls Gap in the past month, and a number of the councillors have been out and touched base with them. So just wanting to discuss things about insurance and discuss how things are going after the fires, looking at pathways forwards and what supports are needed to assist them get back to full trade. So there have been lots of emails, lots of phone calls. We are still hopeful that there is more in this space, and yeah, we're sort of still advocating and still in touch with a lot of our MPs, just making sure that we are being listened to. So a very, very, very busy month. Thank you, the councillors, for the report. And we'll go to the resolution. That the reports be received. So we just need someone to move that.
Happy to move that the reports from councillors be noted.
Thank you, Councillor Emerson. Does someone to second that?
I'm happy to second that, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Hyde. Just a show of hands in favour. Okay, so that's carried. There's no urgent business that I'm aware of. So we will go to public question time. Ross Hudson has 3 questions that he would like to bring forward. So we have questions with notice, and I'll just read out. Question time should not exceed 15 minutes, a maximum of 3 questions at any one time. The presentation of each question shall not exceed 2 minutes. Speaker can provide a brief background to the question, 30 to 50 seconds. Chair may disallow a question. Chair may accept or reject additional questions. The question will not be debated. A written response will be given for all public questions. And I know Ross is well and truly aware of all that. So I'll let you read out your questions, Ross. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Hislop. In fact, you might have noticed I reacted to when you said 30 or 50 seconds preamble or background. I've been thinking 2 minutes. But look, I'll talk quickly again. Thank you for the opportunity to present, and thank you for the councillor reports that I've heard today. They've all been really positive, and there's some great things that I've heard from a social justice and community grassroots point of view, so thank you for that. My question, perhaps in that context, is about the St Arnaud's Sporting Club. I have a bit of a preamble, and I'll try and get through it as quickly as possible, but I thought it was important. I thought it was important for the people that would prepare the response to understand the issues that I was framing this with, and also for those who might be listening or subsequently catch up with this council meeting at another time. At the St Arnaud Community Action Network meeting on the 10th of March 2025, during discussions about the St Arnaud Sporting Club, Councillor Emerson stated, "The building is owned by council. It is understood that council will have a commercial lease arrangement with Bendigo Stadiums Limited, who operate the St Arnaud Sporting Club as a private commercial operator. Bendigo Stadiums Limited are known to operate 2 other pokie venues in Bendigo. In the most recent publicly available lodgement with the Victorian Gambling and Casino Control Authority, Bendigo Stadiums Limited reported the St Arnaud Sporting Club net EGM expenditure, that is the total amount lost by players on electronic gaming machines, on the 35 pokie machines at the St Arnaud Sporting Club for 2022-2023 and the 2023-2024 financial years was $1.684 million and $1.626 million respectively. I just let people reflect on the fact that that represents an amount equivalent or similar to 2.5% of the Northern Grampians Shire projected revenue for this financial year, and probably represents a similar amount to what we spend on the salaries and allowances and like for people in this room at the moment. This is gaming revenue that has been lost by gamblers after any winnings are deducted from the total gambling expenditure on poker machines that was spent by them. For 2023-2024, that amount of pokey gambling lost through the St Arnaud Sporting Club is the equivalent of $864 per St Arnaud resident aged 20 to 85 plus years, of which there was 1,881 persons, or $2,794 per family in St Arnaud, which is 582 families.
All right, Ross, I might just get you to sum it up a little bit, if you can,
those
please.
figures based on the 2021 ABS data. I believe this is attached to the minutes.
Yep, it is, yep.
So people that are interested can read the rest of the preamble. Basically, I suppose my question's relating to a context where I'm concerned about council's relationship or council's association with a commercial enterprise because of its leasing arrangements. The questions here will outline a little bit further. How does Northern Grampians Shire Council benefiting financially, being a landlord, from the arrangement it has with Bendigo Stadiums Limited, operating the St Arnaud Sporting Club, explain how that arrangement meets the council's statutory responsibility under Section 9, subsection 2, paragraphs B and C of the Local Government Act 2020.
Okay, I'll get our Director, Vaughan Williams, if you want to give a reply.
Yeah. So Council does have a lease agreement with Bendigo Stadium regarding the occupancy of the St Arnaud Sporting Club. Council can enter into agreements with other entities that occupy buildings for which Council is responsible. Those arrangements are not inconsistent with any provision of the Local Government Act in relation to the money gained from these lease and any other sort of commercial enterprise lease. That comes back into the council and is spent on providing, helping to subsidise any of the services that we do provide.
Okay, so your next question, Ross.
Question 2 is, what does Northern Grampians Shire Council specifically deliver to the St Arnaud community to mitigate the $1.6 million plus that is taken from the community by way of gaming machine losses in the premises Councillor Emerson advises Council owns and that Bendigo Stadiums Limited operates, and that has detrimental effects to numerous families, other local businesses and a broader socio-economic wellbeing in St Arnaud?
Vaughan will answer again. Yep.
Yeah, Council does not have any programs which mitigate any impact from gambling in the community.
Answer. And question 3.
Is it correct that in addition to being the landlord for the St Arnaud Sporting Club building, Northern Grampians Shire Council is also the landlord for the old St Arnaud Shire office building, which has a privately owned and operated cafe and catering business in it, understood to be owned by a St Arnaud resident, the St Arnaud Caravan Park, which is understood to be leased by a Melbourne-based investor, and what other properties in St Arnaud does Northern Grampians Shire Council have a financial interest in that are being operated for commercial gain?
Council only has the 3 properties you just mentioned in St Arnaud which are leased to commercial entities. So it's only those 3.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ross. Thank you, Vaughan. So we now go into closed meeting to discuss some confidential items. So we have a recommendation for us to go into closed meeting.
Happy to move a motion that we go into closed council to discuss some confidential matters.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Emerson. So just somebody to second that. Thank you, Councillor Blake. Okay, so we all happy? Show of hands to support that. Okay, so the meeting is now closed for us to go into confidential matters. Just have to
Pleased to report on the matters that were resolved in closed council meeting. Item 14.1, Council takes up the second and final one-year option to extend contract C10 2022-23 provision of quarry products and concrete supplies commencing 20th of April 2025 and concluding 19th of April 2026. 14.2, Council awards the design, supply and installation of the new septic system at Navarre Recreation Reserve to Onleys Holdings Pty Limited for their submitted lump sum price. 14.3, Council awards contract C25007 St Arnaud Swimming Pool Changing Room refurbishment to Bill Forth Pty Limited for their submitted lump sum. Thank you.
Okay, there being no further business, I will declare the meeting closed at 1:33 p.m.